So you see these property key sheets, right? They're packed with numbers and terms, but what do they actually mean for someone looking for a home? Today, we're going to take a closer look at the Excelsior Sky Residences, breaking it all down into something that makes sense. Let's dive in.
Okay, first things first. This building is big. We're talking 36 physical floors. That is a lot of vertical real estate. But a number that big just makes you wonder.
Yeah, how is all that space actually used? It's not just 36 floors of apartments stacked on top of each other, right? How does a giant structure like this transform into a place where people live, park their cars, and, just hang out? Let's peel back the layers. All right, let's take a virtual elevator ride. We're going to start at the very bottom on the ground floor and work our way all the way up to the roof deck. You're about to see just how thoughtfully this whole tower is laid out.
The design is actually super logical when you look at it. So, step one, you walk in on the ground floor. That's your welcome mat. Then, from the second to the sixth floor, that's all parking. A 5-level garage built right into the base of the tower. Above that, step 3, you hit the 7th floor, and this is the dedicated amenity level. It's a perfect buffer before you get to the private homes, which make up floors 8 to 35. And the cherry on top, the rooftop deck on the 36th floor. It's a very clean, very intentional flow.
Okay, so that's the structure. We get it. But what does it actually feel like to live there? Now let's talk about the experience, and we have to start with that amazing 7th floor. The entire 7th floor is basically a community hub. You've got your pool and your gym for staying active. You've got an open lounge for socializing. But check this out, a dedicated daycare and a play area. That's a pretty big deal. It tells you this place is really thinking about families and creating a self-contained community, all just an elevator right away. And of course, in a high-rise, the view isn't just some nice bonus. It's an essential part of your home. The direction your windows face can totally shape your daily experience, from sunrise to sunset. And the views here are pretty incredible. Depending on which side of the building you're on, you could be looking out over the calm Iloilo River or seeing all the way to Guimaraes Island. You might get the energy of the Central Business District or a sprawling view of the city in Jero. Each one gives your home a completely different personality. All right, let's get to the most personal part, the home itself. We're going to dive into not just the different sizes on offer, but some of the really clever layout options you can choose from. This table gives us a great snapshot of the options. The range is pretty wide, starting with some really efficient units around 25 square meters, and then going all the way up to nearly 58 square meters. So whether you're a single professional or a growing family, there's likely a footprint here that fits. Seeing it as a chart like this really makes the differences pop, doesn't it? You can see the jump from a Unit A to a Unit B is significant, and then it's another big leap to a C1. These aren't just tiny little increments. They represent fundamentally different kinds of living spaces. But here's where it gets really interesting. The most important feature might not be the size itself, but the flexibility. The idea that for some units, the total square meters stay the same, but how you actually use that space can change completely. Let's use the 40.40 square meter unit as a perfect example. You can have it as a Unit D1, which gives you 2 bedrooms, great for a small family or if you need a home office. Or you could choose the D2 layout. It's the exact same footprint, but it's reconfigured into a huge 1-bedroom apartment with a much larger, more open living area. Same space, 2 totally different lifestyles. And they apply this same logic to the 36.89 square meter unit. You can go for a compact 2-bedroom, or you can have that same space arranged as a really generous 1-bedroom with a bigger kitchen and living space. It all comes down to what you prioritize, more separate rooms or more open, flowing space. And finally, this idea of choice isn't just about the number of rooms. Look at the C1 and C2 units. Inside, they're identical. The only difference is the balcony. C1 has a standard 4 square meter balcony, but C2 has a massive 10.5 square meter extended balcony. That adds over 6 square meters of pure outdoor living space. It's a huge difference. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, from the foundation all the way to the roof, so let's boil it all down. What are the key things to remember from all this? So 4 things. First, it's a 36-floor tower with a super clear zoned layout. Second, that 7th floor is a full-blown lifestyle hub. Third, you've got a really wide variety of unit sizes to choose from. And fourth, and this is probably the biggest takeaway, the design is all about flexibility, letting you decide if you want more rooms or more open space in the exact same footprint. And, of course, we have to include the official disclaimer here. It's really important to know that all this information is based on initial plans, and with any project like this, things are subject to change down the line. Ultimately, what this all shows is that a building isn't just one thing. It's a collection of spaces and, more importantly, a collection of choices, from the view you want to wake up to the way your home is laid out. So it really leaves you with a very personal question. Which one of these spaces would you choose to make your own?